I forget. Let me share. All right, I'm really pumped to do this call because we're approaching the end of the year. A lot of us start also slacking on certain goals that until the next year starts. Watch this quick YouTube clip. It's like a minute and 40 something seconds. There's some swearing in here. Just
when I first started telling jokes, I made $25 a night. The first year in I made about $7,200. I became homeless. $1,000 in 3 years. That's how you get homeless.
Oh, no.
I lived in
Oh no. Okay, Jennah, go ahead and take over for a second.
Oh shit. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I was like, is that my Wi-Fi? Because sometimes it's my Wi-Fi that cuts in and out. Um, Veronica, do you want me to start with some of my points or? Okay, cool. So our topic is actually something that's like really exciting to me because it's something that you really want to understand and identify that like your goals matter, your goals are larger and it's not okay for you to give up on your goal just because an obstacle or a challenge comes in your way or it's not as easy. So we've kind of looked at a bunch of different articles today and we've narrowed down the common reasons why people give up on their goals. So we're going to run through those really quick so that way you can kind of catch yourself before that happens. So the first one that I want to touch on is that you're not willing to put in the time. And I want you to write down there's kind of two different parts to this. The first part is that you're not actually willing to do the do. And what I mean by that is that you're not willing to do the things on a daily basis that are necessary to move the needle forward in your business. So for example, we have IPAs that we know if we do every single day on a consistent pattern and build that habit, that's going to move the needle forward in our business. So, for example, podcasts, journaling, affirmations, different trainings, building relationships with people, growing our network. These are all things that we know in this industry, if we focus on, we're going to hit our goals or we're going to put ourselves a position closer to hit those goals. So that's the first part is not actually not actually doing the do. The second part is taking on more than you can actually have time for. So we've all heard the saying that you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. So this type of optimism bias is something that leads to you giving up because if you put too much on your plate and you start to overwhelm yourself, then you don't dedicate the necessary time. So a really quick, simple, solution to fixing that is that you don't actually need a lot of time to do a lot of these things. You just need to be intentional with your time and effective with your time. So the things that I wrote down was like things to think of in the back of your mind is like drop the busy work. There's a lot of times where we do busy work in a day and we at the end of the day we feel like we've accomplished so much, but they're not the actual right things that are going to again help you move the needle forward in your business. So instead of doing busy work, do things that are really important. If I need to focus on personal development because my brain is not where it needs to be, then that's like a high priority on my list. So put that as a high priority. Do power lists, write out your daily to-dos. I have weekly to-do lists as well, so I can prioritize my time. For example, I have so much freaking laundry to do. I know that that's going to be there tomorrow. I'm pushing for AMM this month and I need to build the shit out of some relationships right now. So that to me is a priority on my list, not my laundry, right? So again, just kind of understanding where your business is at, what you need to focus on to again put yourself forward. Veronica, did you have your video or you want to jump into your next point?
I'm gonna jump to my next point. If I
Okay.
if I randomly cut out, just keep going. I don't know what's going on. If you guys have AT&T, you shouldn't because it sucks. Okay, so let's talk. I can't see chat or anything, but I'm doing it on my phone. This feels weird. All right, so I'm gonna talk about lack of ownership because I think that's the second. It's a really big thing that deters people from hitting their goals, and this happens a lot when you're new to your business. A lot of our new business partners are going to resonate with you because a lot of times when you start something new, the same way with like when you go to the gym, your goals aren't really your goals. Those are your goals because someone else told you that it was your goals, right? So it's kind of like when you start your business and you're like, I want to hit MMP. You're saying that because someone on a call told you your first goal is MMP. But when you change the thought process and you say, I want to make $2,000 my first month, okay, now that's your goal. That's not someone else telling you that it's your first rank and you have to run for it, right? And when you start connecting your goals with with an emotional attachment to it, there's going to be a whole different kind of intensity towards those goals on a regular basis, right? So like when I do my onboarding calls, the first question it's the second question actually, that I ask my business partners is how much money do you want to make? And I want you to equate that to a bill, right? What would be a bill that you would be excited to not have to pay out of your own salary? So that way, when this person potentially, gets negged out or in their feelings 5 or 7 days into their business because they haven't, made $1 million yet, the reminder isn't, hey, the goal's to hit MMP. The reminder is, hey, you wanted to make your car payment by the end of this month, right? That's a clear-cut goal that you can take ownership with and actually want to build your business around. So if you find yourself struggling with maintaining momentum over the course of your months, and this doesn't have to be in business, guys. These calls aren't just for business. These completely correlate to your personal life. For example, the gym. I struggled at a period of time doing cardio. It was like hard for me. And then I recognized that my goal when I was going to the gym was completely backwards. I was focusing on a weight loss goal over how I feel. When I changed that, my goal being how I feel and how my clothes fit, my intensity towards my goals changed, right? Same concept with your business. It's important to ask yourself, am I using something with Monet that's going to motivate me day in and day out? And if not, then I think it's a really important thing to be focusing on these last few weeks of the month, because if you find that niche, if it's maybe you want your shampoo business to pay your bills versus your salary, maybe it's you want to take your family on 3 vacations next year, like luxurious vacations, and Monet is what pays for that luxurious location. Whatever it is, you're going to take accountability of that in a whole different platform.
Awesome. The next one is distractions. So we all have distractions. I want you guys to type in chat really quick. What's something that distracts you in a day? Kids, fiance, kids, my full-time normal life tasks, my dog, 2-year-old, my kids, baby. Okay. Okay, cool. So we all have different things. Kids, spouses, things that need to be done around the house, Netflix, housework, chores, whatever it is, right? We all have different distractions. One thing I heard on a call, I can't remember whose call it was, but it kind of really stuck with me all the time because I'm a mom. I have 2 kids for those that don't know. And yeah, life can be, challenging sometimes when they're like crawling all over you and you're trying to get stuff done. And um the person on the call, they said you cannot use your why as your excuse. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I can't use my kids as an excuse as to why I'm not going to accomplish something in my day. I just need to get it done. And if that means it takes me longer as a mom because, I have to whatever, have them crawl all over me while I do my post. Like today, for example, when I was recording for a flash sale, Carter was like losing his shit. And I was like, okay, cool. We're going to pause this post for a second. We're going to calm his ass down, put him to sleep. And then I'm going to finish my post and I'm going to post it. And that's what I did. So, like, yeah, it took me 30 or 35 minutes before I got my post up compared to what I normally do. But okay, it was still done at the end of the day. So instead of stressing yourself out, being like, oh my God, I have all of this XYZ and things happening, just chill, take a breath, understand that you control your own business. So it doesn't matter whether you get it done right this second, like give yourself a little bit of slack and just write out like a power list really quick. What do you need to get done today? Start crossing things off one by one. Don't focus on all this shit going on that you have to get done. Just focus on it one by one. And shifting to that process, I found that I'm like a lot less anxious in my day. Like I used to literally text Veronica being like, "Oh my God, it's fucking 2 o'clock and I don't have my post up yet. Like I'm freaking out." And she's like, "Okay, chill, Jennah, chill. Like it's okay." Right. So just understand things are going to happen. And that's the beauty of this business. That's why we got into something like this, because we wanted to work things around our schedules, around our lives. So things are naturally going to happen. You just kind of have to attack them head on and take things one at a time.
Facts, literally. My post isn't up by 2 o'clock and I haven't washed my hair and I haven't like exhausted my story. I feel behind. I'm like, Jennah, calm down, you have all day. And that was such a huge shift in her business. Like when you were able to transition out of that panic mode, because you have to understand when you start treating your business that way, you guys end up resenting your business. You chose this business for freedom. So when you start putting all this pressure on yourself, like you end up not hating, but you end up resenting what you do, point blank period. Okay, so this is a really good one. This is one of my favorite ones to talk about. Not willing to do the hard work. So many people give up on their goals because they're simply just, when they recognize what it consists of, they're no longer willing to do the hard work, right? You guys, if running a business was easy, everyone would be an entrepreneur. And more importantly, if everyone can be an entrepreneur and still treat their business like a hobby and somehow make money, everyone would also be doing that. They would be half in, half out, and still expect to be millionaires. You have to understand that to be successful, I don't really think in this industry, I think in any industry, you have to fail like a lot. You have to learn a lot. You have to learn what not to do in the process of actually doing it, fucking up and being like, okay, we're not trying that one again. That one didn't work. And I think a lot of the times we forget that every next level of our business, some of you guys are running for MMP on this call, some of you MMB, some AMM, some MM, everyone's running for different levels in their business. Each level requires a different version of you. It's a fact, meaning each version of you has to get better. And the only way that you get better is by actually doing the work. And I think sometimes we have these goals and then we recognize, okay, so for example, when I think about like when I used to do door-to-door sales, so I spent 5+ years of my life going door-to-door in business-to-business sales. I dreamt about having an LLC called Alanique Incorporated. It's on my parents' license plates, it's on my wrist. My whole family has this. My whole life, I was like, I want to build a business. I had no idea what kind, but I'm going to call it Alanique Incorporated. And I'll never forget when I switched over from B2B to door-to-door doing AT&T. It was in San Francisco. I was going up this huge hill. It's where the Full House is. It's like this humongous hill. I was sitting at 0 sales. It was 4 p.m. I was training 3 new people with me and it was pouring rain. And I remember in that moment being like, I can't do this. I don't care what my goals are. I don't care that I'm trying to build this mass. Like I can't do this because I know that I still have another 4 or 5 months of building my team in the field. You guys don't, building a team virtually is nothing compared to when you're with that person day in and day out and you have to be the example in every sense of the form because your reps are with you for 8 hours. Whole different story. Anyways, I remember sitting in my car after my first really hard day in the field and being like, I don't think I can do this. I think this was a shitty decision. I think that I was too excited when I took this role and I'm regretting it. Okay, fast forward 5 months, I opened up my location on AT&T, my business, my sign came in, Alanique Incorporated, my parents flew in. There was all this, my corporation paperwork came in, that feeling in my stomach, I will never forget that feeling. However, all of those times that I really questioned if I should continue working my business, all of those moments that I pushed through is what got me here right now, today. It would have been impossible if I actually listened to those feelings in the moment I recognized it was hard. So I think so many of us, we have these great goals. And then even some of us, when we step into you hit MMB, but then you have to evolve to maintain MMB. You have to continue developing yourself to attract sharper leaders. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. So my biggest piece of advice to anyone on this call who has not yet hit MMB plus, you guys got to stop skipping the shortcut. The shortcut can't get any shorter. You found it. But it requires you to evolve yourself and it requires you to show up on a consistent basis. It doesn't matter how you feel, it matters what you do. And once you do the work over a course of time, a period of time. I couldn't get the word out. And everyone's time is different. My journey isn't your journey, but once you evolve and do the work, the results are a byproduct of it. So I think so many of us, we see this goal and we think about what we have to do and we think, I can't do those things. You don't know until you try, and you don't know until you do.
Man, how can I follow up when Veronica speaks like this girl? She gives me chills. Okay. Old habits die hard. When I read this one, I was like, because it kind of reminds me of like the saying where they say like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, which I think is bullshit. But when you look at habits itself, most of us are, 20 plus years old. If there's somebody younger, I apologize. But most of us have built habits over the course of our entire life. And I'll use my mom as an example. So my mom is somebody who like recklessly spends money. This is why they live paycheck to paycheck. And this is something that she has done for 60 years. Okay. So I sat down with my mom once to try and teach her how to manage her money more efficiently. I like literally did a break even for her and was like, okay, this is how much is coming in. This is how much is going out. This is how much like you can like have as your spending money. Like I tried to break it down so simplistic, but she's 60 years old. So I'm like, okay, I'm expecting for her to get it this like one time. Because for me, money, like managing money is like simple. Like you just don't overspend if you don't have that money, right? But for her, it's really challenging. So I'm like getting mad and like frustrated when I'm like, okay, I'm going over this again with you. Like, come on. But then I have to remind myself that old habits die hard because she's somebody who has formed this habit over the course of 60 years where I can't expect her to break it in one day. So when I look at us building habits, right? They say on average it takes about 21 days to build a habit, but think about all of the time in your life that you're trying to break some of these bad habits. So give yourself a break in the sense that if you fuck up one day, okay, cool. Tomorrow you can start over and that's okay, right? So I want to read this right off of like my page here. So because it was really good. They say sometimes getting started isn't the hard part. The hard part is sticking with our new habit or lifestyle. Maintaining changed behavior is difficult, and there's always the pull of the old and the fear of the new. Old habits die hard if we aren't prepared to keep up with the changes. I'll put that in our group chat because I'm on my phone right now. But I thought about that and I was like, "Oh my God, that is so smart." Like if you're not prepared to keep up with the new changes, it's going to be so quick and easy to go back into your old habits. So they said, "Okay, well what can you do about that?" So focus on progress, not perfection. I'm going to like that in itself. Focusing on progress, not perfection is so key. Don't try and change everything at once. Start with one thing. So for example, like I remember when I was trying to build a new routine in the morning, and I was chatting with Veronica about it and I was like, I'm going to wake up at like 6 a.m. I'm going to do the damn thing. And she's like, okay, cool. Well, like what time do you normally wake up? I'm like 7:30, 8 o'clock most days. Like, and she's like, okay, well, why don't we like maybe just like do 15 minutes earlier than you normally? I'm like, okay, fine. Oh, thank God. Cause if I woke up at 6 a.m., like shit, I would have snoozed my alarm for sure at the time. And then once you do that consistently, then move it half an hour, right? Just like take it a step at a time. And you're going to be more excited about the wins that you create every single day in doing that. Yeah, 5 a.m., Lindsay, like I don't even fucking think 5 a.m. exists on my clock. But you're going to be more excited about the wins that you're creating every single day versus saying, hey, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. every single day and then not do it every single day. So the key to that momentum is that you're moving in a forward direction. And the next time that you feel like you're going to give up on a goal because of something of your habits, consider these different ideas the next time that you surrender. So if you can write these down, I'll say it slow because they're gold. Just like anything in life, if we want it bad enough, we'll put in the work. So if you want it bad enough, you're going to put in the work. You're going to practice, practice, practice. Success might just be around the corner, and all you need is just a little bit more motivation, practice, and persistence. I would change the motivation to discipline if it was me, just because motivation dies very quickly. Um, but that in itself is huge.
I love that. Those are really great tangibles. Those are really good. Can you type those in chat after this call? Cool. Okay, so this might be my last one because I was reading over my last one. You kind of touched on it, so I don't want to double hit it. But all right, this one's a really good one and it spoke to me. They so often, and a lot of times, this person that's going to relate to this point the most is if you're like, you're always comparing yourself and you're always looking at someone else's grass versus your own. This one's really speaking to you. People give up on their goals because they want the outcome so much more than they want the skill. That one really spoke to me because we all know somebody, business or personal, who talks this big game and has all these goals, right? But they never actually take the steps that they need to take in order to become that person or create this thing. You know, my boyfriend, when the pandemic started, he lost his job. And it was right when I started going into my build-up phase with Monet, like really pedal to the metal. And he started doing all of these different things. I want to be quiet because of eating these different things, but like, and he had all these goals, but like he wasn't turning into the person that you have to turn into to actually hit those goals, right? People love this thought of being successful. People love the idea of entrepreneurship and building your own business and working from Wi-Fi and unlimited income. We love it. But like, what about learning the skills to become that person? Because I want to be honest with you guys. And if you're new to this business, this is going to be a really quick reality check. Just because you hit a rank doesn't mean anything, because the rank is a title and that title has to be earned. I'm not saying the rank isn't celebrated. Hitting the rank is a humongous goal, but from a long-term standpoint in this kind of business, it's about your ability to maintain that and then grow within that level, right? So often when we hit this hard part, right, in our business, we go through a week, a month, maybe whatever, a hard day, a really hard day, and we're really, really questioning our ability to grow. And we're actually thinking, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. I tried, I'm going to come back next year, whatever the case may be. It comes down to the fact that that person really isn't in it for the long term. If you're super inconsistent with your business and on the hard weeks, you want to check yourself out, you're in it to hit a goal that's very, very minimal and it's not going to be there forever. And so it's so incredibly important. And if you're noticing you're struggling with consistency to hit your goals, you have to fall in love with the process just as much as you fall in love with hitting that actual goal. I've been running for for 4 months. People think I'm a director. People have no idea. I don't talk, it doesn't affect me. I don't attach my worth to the rank. I attach my worth to the person I have to become to step into that role, because I know once I get there, it's not about hitting it's about going to fucking director. It's not about staying here. It's about triple ranking. So the person that you become in that process is so powerful. And at the end of the day, like, you have to want to make the skills what you focus on over the goal itself, because that's when your business, in my mind, truly changes. So that was my last one. You want to close this off?
Yes. I had like one point. I'll make that fast before I close it. The I think that in business, so I've been in business and leading people for 10, 11 years. And it's consistent within this business and it's consistent within my previous business that the people who don't succeed, it's because they don't have a strong enough why. And you have to ask yourself, like, why is it that you do what you do every single day? Like, what is it that you're like literally willing to like die for? You know what I mean? Like I said it on my last call with Will Smith, like the die versus get off the treadmill analogy. And like that's the type of mentality that you have to have with your goals, but your why is what's going to drive you to your core, so that it doesn't matter what obstacle or challenge comes in your way, like it's strong enough to surpass those obstacles and adversities. And so when you look at what your why is, like I want to give an example, because a lot of times like parents, they'll be like, my kids. Okay, cool. Why? Like continue to break down why until you can't break it down anymore. So like for me, if I look at my kids, I'm like, well, it's because I want them to go to any choice of school that they want to. Why is that important to me? Well, because I didn't go to school. Why didn't I go to school? Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, so I didn't want to invest all of this money and then be in debt. Whereas a lot of other friends that I had, they went to school not knowing what they wanted to do, but their parents were paying for it. So they're like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to go to school. Right. I didn't have that option and I didn't want the debt. Okay, cool. What else do I want for my kids? Why is that important to me? I want them to travel. I want them to experience things. I want them to have, not that I had a bad life growing up, but I want them to have even better than what I have. So, like, those are enough to drive me every single day to my core. So that way, when stuff happens, and we're all human, stuff is going to come our way and things are going to happen.
You're muted.
Oh, no.
There you
go. Okay, cool. I just went on like a whole tangent. Damn it. Okay. So the last point that I wanted to touch on was your why. So like breaking down your why is so important.
Jennah, where are you?
It keeps muting me. I don't know why. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So breaking down your why is so important. For the fifth time, I'm going to make sure this is not muted. Okay. Because it has to drive you to your core, right? The only way you're going to get over obstacles and challenges is if you're going to have something that's strong enough to push you through them. Like I said before, motivation dies really quick, and it's your why that's going to push you through them. So for me, I want to break down my why like a million times to understand what it is that's truly going to drive me. So if I just said my kids, right? Well, why is that important? It's important because I want them to have their choices of schools to go to, or I want them to be able to travel the world and experience things. Why is that important to me? Well, I didn't have those things growing up. There was kids around me that, in high school when they were choosing schools that they wanted to go to, they had their parents that were paying for it. So they didn't really care like if they really wanted to do that as an education. They were just willing to go to school for it. Whereas I didn't have that option. I would have had to pay for it for myself. I would have been in debt if I went to get a loan from the bank, right? So I want them to be able to have like no worries there. I want them to live a different lifestyle than I had growing up. And so that's enough for me to push myself to a whole nother level and go through some of these obstacles and challenges that we face, because that's strong enough for me. My why is going to be different than maybe some of your whys, and that's okay. But you need something that's going to be strong enough to push you through these challenges. So if you feel that some of these points that you've heard on this call resonate with you and you feel like you're in a particular category, that's okay. We've all been in one of these or multiple of these at some point in our business, and it's up to you to literally change that, and it can change overnight. Shit, I had a conversation with Veronica last week, literally being like, okay, like I'm all in my head, I'm in my feels, this is happening, I don't know, blah blah blah. And she's like, okay, cool. And she totally shifted my perspective. And now like since then I've been in fucking beast mode, because I'm like, there's nothing stopping me. I just needed like that quick like check, and reminding me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I want everybody to close their eyes for a second. I'm going to make sure that we're all closing our eyes. I want you to think about literally a year from today. And I want you to think like exactly where you're going to be, right? Like, are you on a beach? Are you in your dream house? Are you, wherever you are? Where do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? What kind of money are you making? Like, can you really like envision your bank account right now? How many zeros are in your bank account? How many people have you impacted? Who's in your circle? What do they look like? What does your business look like? What kind of car are you driving? And understand that you can have every single one of those things. You guys can open your eyes. There's one saying that I'm sure we've all heard, and the concept is to fake it till you make it. In my previous business, I changed that to saying that you can act like it until you become it. And I think that shifting to that thought process changes the game, because you want to act the part that you want now. Sorry, my sister called me. You want to act the part that you want now instead of waiting, because you're going to naturally shift into becoming this person well before you become an SED. And the only reason why our SEDs are there and why they have all of the successes, because they just didn't stop. They just kept going every single time. And every single one of us on this call can be there too 1 year from now. So I hope you guys took something away from the call. Thank you so much. Have an awesome night. And Veronica, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, my Wi-Fi keeps going in and out, so I'm ending it before it crashes. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye.